Hello everyone. Well, it's Friday evening. It's been a pretty busy week. We've got a birthday party tomorrow. My little boy's turning 3, so we come over to the river, spend the night, and have a birthday party tomorrow. We finally got some rain here in East Tennessee. It's been pretty dry this summer. Last week and a half or so, we've got quite a bit of rain. The river's up. It's kind of like canceled out our fishing. It came up about 7 feet maybe from its normal level. But got a little project tonight. We've got people coming over here tomorrow. Every time we have people come over, we have to set up tables for the food. And they sometimes, well, it uses usually 3 tables and takes up quite a bit of space. So we are going to build 3 removable bars. And we're going to use a French cleat system and build them to go in between the posts. That way when we're not using them, we can just lift them up and take them out. I may even stick some little holes in there to where we can stick our forks and spoons in. But anyway, we use this a few times a year, and so I think it'll be pretty handy. I'll bring you along for the ride. Let's hope it turns out the way I have envisioned. If you don't own a transit, I would recommend them. Obviously, everybody thinks the only time you use a transit would be to, lay out a building pad or shoot grate on something, but you can use it for putting up chair rail, and in this case, laying out a level line between the 3 posts. I'm going over 30 feet. I'll use the transit to come through and just get me a level line, and then I can reference off of that. One thing you run into though, that thing shoots a red laser, and it'll give you a level line, but sometimes it's hard to see in the daytime, so get you a little contrasting block, and you can bring it over and you can pick up your line. So all I'm going to do is reference my mark on each one of the posts, and we'll be good to go. I don't really have to worry about the elevation of my transit because all I'm doing is getting a level line. I come back, once I've figured out how high I want the top to be, then I just measured from my line so I can go through and then square off each one of those lines, and we're level across the board. If you've not seen one of these Dewalt job site saws, I've been very pleased with it. I've used it a handful of times now and had it on a couple different projects. And the little dolly system works really well, getting it in, in and out of where you're going. But one thing that's really neat is this rip fence. It'll allow you to rip up to about a little more than 32 inches. This got a little fold down system. You can use one setting as a stop, keep you away from the blade, and then you can drop it on down, and then it sort of acts as a rest for your material when you're cutting longer stuff. Now my posts on this building, they're about 9 foot 6 inches apart. So obviously an 8-foot sheet of plywood won't make it all the way through. Basically, I've just taken 4x8 sheets, cut them down. I think I allowed a 1/16 just to make sure I had the same on both sides. So I'm at 23 and 15/16. But what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to add on about 16 inches or so, 16, 18 inches onto the end of each one of these. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna join it in 2 different methods. I'm gonna use biscuits on the joint, and I'll use this biscuit cutter and go in here and cut 3 biscuits in it. And then what I'm going to do as well is use this Craig jig and come in from the bottom side and put some pocket holes in. I'm going to have to be moving these around tonight, so what I'm going to do is put the biscuits in. That'll cure overnight, but I'll put the pocket screws in to just secure it so we can move it around, and so basically use this as a clamp. The one thing I'm going to make sure of though is I am joining to factory edges. So I've squared both of these corners, checked them, and they're good. So we'll cut the pocket holes in them, cut our biscuits, glue 3 of them together, and then we'll trim them to length. If you've never used one of these plate joiners or biscuit cutters, what I usually refer to it as, they use these biscuits, and what will happen once you cut, basically it'll cut slots in each side that marry to each other. You glue it and stick that in your slot, and what will happen as the glue sets, this will swell and it'll lock that joint together, and it's hard to get them apart. They work really well. So all I do is basically line up my edges where I want everything to be when it's finished, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to make a mark across both boards where I want my biscuits to be, and then I'll get set up with a plate joiner or plate cutter, whatever you want to call it. We'll make sure we've got our height set for 1/2 inch. It'll cut us a slot in the middle of that, and once we get it done we can glue it, slide them together, and then I'll take the pocket holes and go back and screw from both sides. I've got to cut my pocket holes on this board, but I'll screw it and then it'll tie everything together, and the biscuits will just act as a little insurance. We'll get set up and cut a few joints. Show you what it does. Cuts these little slots, and the biscuit will slide right in there, which it'll marry up to the joint from the other side, and when that swells it'll lock that thing together. It'll take a stick of dynamite to get it apart. No, they're pretty strong though, they work pretty well. All right, this is where it'd be nice to have a big 12-foot long shop table to be working on, but what I've done is I've laid them down, referenced my edges, made sure everything's straight and true there. I've got a pretty good joint across here, so what I'll do is pull them apart, glue the biscuits in, glue the joint, and screw the pocket holes in. Alright, a little change of plans. I was going to glue them all up, but I don't exactly have the right setup here on the ground. So what I'm going to do is basically build my little headers that will go in between my posts. And once I get them with my French cleats on the ends, and then my mounts on my post, I will come back and fit the tops and screw everything together sitting on top of these. I think I can get it to hold pretty true across that span. This plywood running vertically is pretty strong, so I think I can get, as long as I get my ends beefed up pretty good, I think we'll be all right. But a little more calculating and figuring, and we'll see if we can get one put up and see how we do. It goes smoother when you got some help. Glue man Chad's here. We've built us essentially a little header here, stringer. We've got our plywood cut. We took a 1/4 inch round over bit and hit the edges. So we're gonna lay her on there, center her up, and glue her down. Well, we got all 3 of our countertops finished last night. Chad came in and helped me finish them up. The way we've constructed them is basically I've got 2 sheets of plywood running and then got some cross blocking. And then there's a French cleat system here on the end. And then I've got the receiving bracket here on the back side. And then we put some gussets underneath it to kind of help it with stability. We'll put some stain on them and try them out this afternoon. We got a birthday party. See how they do. Well, it looks like our countertops are going to hold. We got them loaded down. I think it's going to work. Appreciate you watching.